And she says, you got $5,000 in here. I said, I got $5,000 where? She said, in your cash value policy. I said, what do you mean?
Hey everybody, welcome back to Annuity Fundamentals. I am your host, Kylie Malott, joined by our co-host, Mr. Ryan Anderson. And today we have a very special guest. She really dives deep in creating generational wealth or just getting out of debt altogether. And so I'm really excited to hear what she has to say. She's been in the industry for 5 years, so she's fresh enough to still be excited about her craft, but she's been in the industry long enough that she knows what she's talking about. So everyone, if you could welcome Saran Baker to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here with you. I can't wait to get into our conversation because this is such an important industry, and I know we change lives together.
Absolutely. And think about it, as you've changed a few lives over the years. Again, you've been in the financial services for about 5 years. You're the principal at STB Financial Services. You're a host your own podcast, Unblocking Your Path to Wealth. And so, as far as we go through that, and you've got quite a story. You just didn't start in this right out of college or something along those lines. It's you kind of been in the industry a little while. So what brought you here? How did you get into the financial services and into the insurance world?
It's interesting because I got here a couple different ways. So I should have technically been in the financial and insurance industry from college because my dad was in health insurance for many years. That was what he did. He was a captive agent, and I refused to do it because who wants to do exactly what dad does, right? And it wasn't until I had my own experience after climbing the corporate ladder. I worked for a very well-known telecommunications company doing government and outdoor sales. And I was making 200K easy, for many years. And then they merged. And I got laid off. I was in one of the 4 departments they had to remove because it was duplicated across the board. And that's when I found out that I knew how to make money and I knew how to spend money. I had no idea how to leverage it, how to grow it, and how to make it outlast me. And so that time, while losing my job was a dark period, I didn't allow that to be the end of the story. I decided to find out what I didn't know, right? What I didn't know because what I didn't know about money was hurting me. What I didn't know what money was technically keeping me broke at a double 6-figure salary, which is ridiculous, right? And then I was introduced into the financial services industry not too long after that. And I still wasn't a believer, right? And I didn't start, and I got a new job. And this is when this was the moment I knew I had missed something. I was about to start a new job, and I didn't have any more money left. I had maybe my last $100 in my account, and that's the gas money, the lunch money for the first week, to get you to that first paycheck kind of money. And my insurance policy debited my account. So I called the insurance company to lay them out and get my $100 back because I needed it, right? Well, it turns out I had bought a cash value policy in IUL when I was 27, when I bought my first house, and forgot that it accumulated cash because the first couple of years it was negligent. When I tell you it was nothing, it was nothing. And the insurance, the person on the phone, the representative said, what do you mean you want a refund? She said, ma'am, you need money? You don't have a job? I said, didn't I say give me my money back? Like, I'm frantic, right? And she says, you got $5,000 in here. I said, I got $5,000 where? She said, in your cash value policy. I said, what do you mean? I was like, just give me my $100 back. She said, okay, you're upset. Do you want $100 or do you want $5,000? I said, yeah, I want $5,000. I said, but my credit's jacked up. I don't have a way to pay it back. All the things they ask you. She said, ma'am, can I deposit it into your account number 1234? And I was like, yeah, that's my account. She said, okay, we're going to process a loan. We're going to send you the $5,000 because that's the cash that you need. Keep your policy in force and then call me back in a month when you settle down a little bit. Because when I tell you I was beside myself, I was. And you can only imagine, I'm like, $5,000. I forgot about this money. And it was only that small amount, right? It seemed it was big at the time, but when I look back, it was only that small amount based on the size policy I had got, right? Because one of my cousins, in her infinite wisdom, she said, "Congratulations on your new home. You need a life insurance policy." I said, "I do." So I just signed up because she said she's my big cousin. I just did what she told me to do. I signed the paperwork, right? Didn't even think anything about it. The $100 a month didn't matter because I was making $200,000. So that's when, and when I look back, I said, I should have gotten it then. I should have understood the power of it at that point. And so that kind of shifted me. And when someone said, "Hey, let me show you how to pay your student loans off," and they introduced insurance to me again, because obviously I had to be introduced to it 3 times before I got it, right? I said, "How are we doing it?" And when they explained they were using life insurance, I said, "No brainer, sign me up. What do we do? How come no one else knows how to do this?" And they said, "Because we need more people to talk about it." I said, "Sign me up for that too."
I love it. You know what? Sign me up for it all. But I think you're so right. I mean, those conversations aren't being had. I talk with my clients all the time, even just about in the annuity space.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they've gone their whole lives without hearing what an annuity is.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who understand life. When I say understand, I mean, they're not really. They think life insurance is like, oh yeah, someone else gets it after I die.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can imagine like what you must be going through as you were on the phone with her and she's like, no, this actually has a benefit for you while you're alive,
Yeah.
and just like trying to calculate that. And it's because it's not talked about enough. So I really, when we before we got on, we were talking about kind of what you do, and you hold on these workshops specifically for women, is that correct?
Yeah, I do. And as Ryan mentioned earlier, I do a live broadcast every Monday at 8:30, and it really is to just share as I'm learning more and more and more about the industry, right? And then and I've been doing that for about 3 years, and that led into me building an academy for women, because I found that once people kind of got into the policies, especially the women. And think about us, how many trainings we go through in the industry, and do you remember it all? No. And why do we expect our clients to remember it?
Yeah.
It's not fair. So I created the academy so that, especially for my clients, they could remember what they said yes to. So they can remember that this is the power of the policy. They remember that, hey, this is not a bill. This is a seed being planted for your future that you don't even know that you need, or you want to access, right?
I like
And
that.
there's so many different things, because living and using life insurance is uncommon in most communities. And the idea that I can profit now, you can profit now, you can leverage, I use that word a lot, leverage it. And it's not just leveraging it for me filling the gap in my example between jobs, but you can leverage it as one of your other people's money for starting your business. You can leverage it for money for your kids to take a gap year instead of going to college, or you can leverage it for college. It depends, but the important part is for us as agents, and us as agents of not just insurance but change, because we're creating financial change, to make sure that we understand it well enough to explain it in layman's terms to those who we encounter, because it's so counterintuitive to everything that we're taught, everything that's on the news, and anything that we're being taught at our jobs.
Oh,
Yeah. You said it swerved into a couple of things there that I really struck a chord with me. When I sit down and I'm meeting with a client for the first time and we're going over their health history, we're going over their, as far as do they have any existing policies, life, health, any financial services, annuities, other investments, things like that. I ask them and we go over some stuff. And one of the things I ask them is, do you have an existing life insurance policy? And they'll say yes or no. And if they do, how long have you had it? What's the premium? What's the death benefit, and what's its purpose? And
Mm-hmm.
they'll answer those. And then the last question I always ask is, when's the last time somebody reviewed it?
Mm-hmm.
And they'll say, well, I don't know. Because again, and you can tell me if you've had a similar experience around, but that it's been my personal experience that I'd say probably 4 out of 5 people don't have what they think they have.
Correct.
And whether that's they go through, and I mean, just a couple of examples of this. I went and I visited with a guy, said, I've got $100,000 of life insurance. I was like, wonderful. Where'd you get it? Oh, I got this letter from my bank. Great. How much you paying for it? $10 a month. Oh, so we dig into it, and what he has is a $500,000 annual renewable term with a
Mm,
$95,000 accidental death and dismemberment policy.
wow.
Not exactly what he thought he had. I've got other clients that have gone through and they have got a term policy they think it is whole life. I've got other ones that have gone through and they bought it before they got divorced and it still has their ex-spouse as the beneficiary on it, and on and on and on. I mean, and one time, I mean, this is about the best example of this ever. I was sitting down with a guy and he's like, I don't think I can afford to retire. And I was like, well, why not? I don't make enough. Look at it. And his story is very similar to yours. And I said, well, we're going through his budget. What's this $400 a month right here you're paying? Which was a lot of money as far as for a life insurance. He says, that's my life insurance. Like, when did you buy this? I don't know, 15, 20 years ago. And
Mm,
so I've got, little red flags going up in my head, or opportunity flags, whichever you might, however you want to think about it. And I said, what's the purpose of it? Well, it's to replace my income and pay off my house in case I die. Great. So we got digging into it. It turns out his wife had passed away a couple of years earlier, and I said, now your wife's gone. He's like, yeah. Have you paid your home off? And he's like, yeah. And I said, so what's the purpose of this policy? And he's like, well, I don't know. Well, let's dig into it. And let's call the company. Turns out he had over $200,000 cash value.
wow.
We were able to go through, we did a 1035 exchange on it. We rolled it into an annuity, gave him a lifetime income. We cut
Mm,
the $400 off a month he was paying out of it. And we went from there. Then we took a small chunk of it and we did a prepaid, a whole life for his final expense kind of a thing.
yeah.
But my point to all of that is that insurance solution he had basically funded his retirement in a way that he wasn't expecting. It was almost an extra. It was more than, by the time we got the premium and the policy in place, it was more than $1,000 a month that he was getting in additional income. So I mean, that was a significant change, just simply because somebody sat down and show me what you've got and let me explain to you. So what you have may not be what you think you have, kind of a thing.
Yeah. And I love that you understood it, right? Because unfortunately, depending on how new we are to the industry or to understanding how things work, someone else may not have been able to pick up on that opportunity to serve that client in that
Mhm.
way because they just didn't know what they didn't know. And so
Yeah.
that's why I find it's important for us to know all sides of the business, to know term, to know whole life, to know annuities, and or at least know who to call to help you with things if you feel like maybe they're too complicated for you. But I love that story. And one of the things that, drives me too is I have an older relative, and I do sell all types of policies, but he purchased a term policy. Him and his wife, my godparents, purchased a term policy at 50. Those policies expired. They're 83 now.
Mhm.
They cannot afford to, well, I shouldn't say can't afford. It doesn't make financial sense for them to now purchase a final expense policy.
Mhm.
And obviously, 30 years ago, I wasn't in the industry, but knowing that, and there's nothing wrong with term because it absolutely has a place, but making sure that we're going back to our clients before it gets too expensive for them to get into something else really becomes a key differentiator, and really becomes where you're serving the client and you're not selling the client only. Because if we're in a service industry, which we are, we have to remember to create the tickler files or use the tools available, the different CRMs, to remind us to check back in with those clients at 5 years, 10 years. We should be doing annually, but life becomes life. But making sure that you're checking in so that we don't have people slip through the cracks who would otherwise have still been good clients, switch to something that was a little bit more reasonable and for the longer haul, because we are living longer, which is a blessing, right? But we got to make sure we have the dollars and cents for it. And And I was the one who reviewed it, and I told him, I said, it doesn't make good sense for you to spend the kind of money that is going to cost you for this. And so we came up with another alternative. We got good. He lives in a small town, so we got good relationships. We went and kind of did the pre-need and just kind of took care of everything with the family community, the family funeral home. But it's a lost opportunity because now where's the generational wealth transfer? We missed the mark in so many of our communities, and I don't know, as people are listening, you can raise your hand to yourself or raise your hand in your mind, but so many of us can say we are the rags to riches in our family, right? We may have come from a tough situation, and or it wasn't ideal, or whatever, however you want to label it, and you're the one who maybe you got it together, or your generation is the generation of family that got it together. But what about the generations coming after us, right? And that's where our opportunity lies, is to create something or plant the tree that you'll never sit under, because it won't be ready until the next generation is around. And my favorite story about it is the community in what the Jewish community in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. They say that it was built using life insurance because they had a generational wealth transfer plan where every family member had over $1 million policy. And when someone passed away, the rule was you bought a business, you bought a brownstone in that area, and you made sure you continued to do that every time someone passed away, because that $1 million passed into the community so that you could continue to buy it. And if you're not a New Yorker, buying a brownstone is like buying four properties in one, right? You live in one for free, you rent the other three, right? Or it has a business downstairs and 3 units upstairs. It's not the same as anywhere else. So now, especially if it's going to the grandkids or the younger people, you're not paying, you don't have student loans. What? No student loan debt. You don't have to go into debt for a car. You're not in debt for a home. Everything's paid for. And so it's about figuring out what that plan is going to be for your family as far as the wealth transfer, and then using life insurance as the vehicle to place the money in so that it can get transferred seamlessly and tax free. I mean, who would have thought how simple that could be?
Who would have thought how simple that could be? I mean, really, and those are just like the conversations that aren't being had. I appreciate you said this is a relationship business. You're absolutely right. So, with that being said, tell us a little bit about the academy that you created. So, what does that look like? Who is it for? How do they get involved? Give us a 30,000 foot overview.
Well, it's academy. I only take about 10 people per session. It runs for 8 weeks, and we dig deep into finances. And I use what I call my financial calm framework. C is for control and cash flow, controlling your cash flow. So we go deep into how to control your money and how to move it. Then we go into assets, and so then we look at all the asset classes that they actually have, and which ones they don't have, and which ones they want to have, and we figure out a way for them to do that. And then we talk about legacy and leverage, right? What kind of legacy do they want to leave? Or how do they want to leverage what they have now to do something going forward? And then the M is really about mindset and mastery, because I think sometimes we talk about money in a way that is separate from who we are in our mind and our hearts. And the reality is that they're connected, because a lot of our money stories and our money issues right now really stem from the stories that we've been told, or the stories that we think are true because we grew up that way, or somebody that we love told us that. And the person that told us that didn't mean any harm. It was true for them. It doesn't have to be true for you. And so we go through that in not in a straight down the path kind of way, but we go through those different layers. And it's mostly for women, because I'm a woman and I love to help elevate women. Guys, don't worry. It's okay. You can watch the podcast. But that's really where my passion lies. And so we just get together once a week for about an hour, and we go over where they are. I answer questions. And here's the thing, I don't treat myself as the end all be all. If I don't have the answer, I go find the resource, right? I find someone to come in and talk about the thing or get the information to them, because we learn in community. And that community provides a space where they can learn and grow. And some of them are considering finding out different ways they can pour into their communities and earn extra money, because sometimes you got to have extra money. It just is what it is. So that's the academy, and I love doing it. And I've been doing it for about 6 weeks. Actually, this is my first batch, so I'm at 6 weeks, and they're about to graduate. So it's pretty exciting for me.
That's awesome.
Well, that is spectacular. Now, a couple of quick questions on the podcast. What's the name of the podcast one more time, please?
Unblocking your path to wealth.
And you said that is it's a live streaming event, and it's on Mondays at 8:30. Is that AM or PM, and what time zone?
So Monday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's live on YouTube. You
Oh,
have to search my name though on YouTube, because I didn't make the hashtag unblocking your path to work. It just says Saran Baker on it. But I go live on Mondays at 8:30 p.m. Actually, this month I'm talking about annuities.
well, heck yeah. We'll have Kylie on as a guest. She can talk to you about it all day long. We'd love to do
There you
that for
go.
you.
Look, I
So,
might steal you for next week, because I've been talking about annuities, and that's my so annuities is a newer space for me, because I had focused in life insurance so much. So I've gotten really serious about the annuities the last year. So that's why I said it's annuity awareness month. I want to talk about annuities.
There we go. I love
that is
that.
that is spectacular. Well, Saran, thank you so much for coming on today. We really appreciate it. It's been lovely chatting with you. And again, and you guys have got the information. We'll go ahead and put a link below to her podcast and to the academy, so you can kind of go from there. But thank you so much. We do appreciate it. And as always, like and click subscribe below. You know how that works. Hit all the thumbs up buttons and all those things that you're supposed to do. And this episode was brought to us by leadshop.org. And so if you're looking to put on seminars, you're looking to go ahead and have events, we use leadshop.org pretty much exclusively. They do an amazing job for us to fill the room, to get to the people you need to get in the most cost-effective way that we found out there. So thanks so much, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Saran. See you next
Thank
time.
you. Bye.